Good morning. So today is Tuesday, November the 10th, and we are on day 5 of Module 2 in our Wit and Wisdom curriculum. You're going to go ahead and get started. Make sure that you have your knowledge and response journal because you are going to be writing today. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so that we can start our video.
Welcome back, powerful thinkers. I'm Sue Sabella, your Great Minds teacher. Let's see what we need for today. Today we'll need the Buffalo Are Back, handout 4A, the focusing question, task 1, evidence organizer, assessment 3A, focusing question, task 1, your journal, and a pencil. Please pause here to gather what you need and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so remember you have a digital copy of the Buffalo Are Back uploaded into the Google Classroom. You have focusing question task 1 uploaded into the Google Classroom, and you need your journal and a pencil. And this is also, I'm sorry, hold on. The evidence organizer is on page 52 of your journal. The assessment 3A focusing question task is in your Google Classroom. Okay.
The Buffalo Are Back by Jean Craighead George is an amazing book, and it's taught us so much about the American West. By reading this book as closely as you have, you're truly becoming an expert. Today, we're going to think about how this text has built your knowledge about the American West. Pause here to set up your journal with a what I know and what I can do T-chart. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so we are on page 56. Okay, we're going to do page 55. That's where we're going to write the question and our response to the question. So let's skip page 55 for now and go to page 56. And we're going to make a T-chart, what I know and what I can do. Okay, so on page 56 of your journal, you're going to do what I know, what I can do. Okay. And this is what we know and what we can do after reading The Buffalo Are Back. Remember, leave page 55 alone for right now. We're coming back to that after this. Okay. Let's get back to the video.
When you think back on what you now know and what you can do, you're reflecting. And reflecting means you're looking back on all the knowledge that you've built and all the skills that are in place now. After reading The Buffalo Are Back, I now know that the buffalo were very important to the prairie. I know that the buffalo were important to the prairie because I learned in The Buffalo Are Back that their sharp hooves let air and water into the soil, and that soil made the prairie healthy. We've learned a lot about topic-specific words, and now I include topic-specific words in my informative paragraph. Historians use topic-specific words when they're communicating information about the past. So when I'm reading and writing about the past, I always make sure to include topic-specific words in my informative paragraphs. Now it's your turn to think about what you know and what you can do. Please pause here to work in your own journal and then just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so if you would like to go back and write down what Miss Sabella has written in the journal, you may do that. But I also want you to include at least 2 more things that you now know and at least 1 more thing that you can do. Okay, so you should have a total of 3 in what I know and a total of 2 in what I can do. Okay. And there's so many things that we know. Like we now know that the buffalo almost went extinct. We now know that the grasses they thought were extinct. We know that President Roosevelt helped establish a national bison range. We know that the government taught farmers how to plant in curves instead of straight lines, and that the government established a prairie reserve for the grasses to grow back. We know that President Roosevelt he made it illegal to shoot buffalo. There are so many things that you guys learned in this book that you can write in the what I know column. And the what I can do. What Miss Sabella said was very important that we include topic specific words in our informative paragraphs. We can talk about how um, you can look through a book to find information. You can learn from a text. You can learn from illustrations. You can learn from art. Okay, so there are other things that you can do now. So you should have 3 of what I know at the end, and you should have 2 in what I can do, including Miss Sabella's what she knows and what she can do. Okay, so you go ahead and push pause, and then you can hit play when you are finished with your what you know and what you can do chart. And I'm going to go ahead and go back. All right, here we go.
There's so much that you know and can do, and you'll continue to show that as you complete the focusing question task. Read the focusing question to yourself, and then we'll read it together.
Okay, so the question is, how did the actions of the American Indians and early Americans impact the prairie in the American West?
How did the actions of American Indians and early Americans impact the prairie in the American West? You've already started to plan your writing by completing the evidence organizer and practicing out loud. You already wrote 1 or 2 sentences as well. Today you'll have the opportunity to finish your informative paragraph. If you need to go back to rehearse out loud or to take time to read over your evidence organizer again, please take the time to do that. Please pause here to grab Assessment 3A, the focusing question task, your evidence organizer, and your pencil. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so remember guys, we did not use the evidence organizer. We used the chart in our books, in our journals, okay? The chart on page 52, that is the one that we used yesterday that had our pieces of evidence. You need to turn back to page 52. And I did upload a copy for you of the question, the assessment, focusing question task assessment. So let's get back to our video.
Let's review the directions and also the checklist for success. Write an informative paragraph to answer the focusing question. How did the actions of the American Indians, settlers, and President Theodore Roosevelt impact the prairie in the American West? Support your response using evidence from the following texts. The Buffalo Are Back by Jean Craighead George. Checklists for success. Be sure to include all of the following in your response. A topic statement, at least 3 sentences with evidence, the words first, then, and finally, a conclusion, and topic-specific words. Pause here to complete your informative paragraph. And remember, you can always take time to rehearse out loud as you go. Just hit play when you're ready to continue.
Okay, so on page 55, we skipped page 55 minutes ago. On page 55, this is where we're going to answer the question. How did the actions of the Indians, settlers, and President Roosevelt impact the prairie in the American West? And you need to make sure that you have your spaces for your topic statement, first, then, finally, and your conclusion. All right, so let's talk about a topic statement. Miss Sabella said something really good yesterday, and I kind of hinted to you that it was going to be, that would be a good topic statement. The question is, how did the actions of these groups of people impact the prairie? We need to say something in our topic statement that shows that there are different types of people in this answer. So we need to say that the prairie of the American West was impacted by several groups of people, many different types of people. So how could we say that? What do you guys think? So I think I'm going to say the prairie in the American West was impacted by many people. So there's my topic statement. The prairie in the American West was impacted by many people. That tells me I'm going to be talking about the prairie in the American West and how all these different kinds of people impacted it. Okay, so then you may use my topic statement if you can't think of anything. Okay, if you can think of a different topic statement, I would love to hear yours. So now I'm going to go back to my chart. And the first thing is that the American Indians burned the grass for healthy soil. So I'm going to go to my section where it says first, and I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how the American Indians had a positive impact on the prairie because they burned the grasses, and that helped keep the soil healthy. Okay, so I'm going to say first, American Indians had a positive impact on the prairie. I need to tell how they had a positive impact. I can't just say they had a positive impact and leave it at that, because whoever's reading your paragraph is going to be like, well, what happened? What did they do? You got to be able to tell them, okay? So I'm going to say they burned the grasses, which made the soil healthy. Okay, so there's what I've got so far. I took information from this chart on page 52 and I used it in my first section. Okay, now then is my second section. So in page 52, I'm going to go to the section that talks about then. What did the settlers do? They tore out, my choice was that they tore out the grasses. Was that a positive impact or a negative impact? It was negative. So I'm going to write, I have to tell that. So I'm going to say, then the settlers came and tore up all the, and I'm going to use a topic specific word here. I'm going to use the word native grasses. So then the settlers came and tore up all the native grasses to plant crops. This had a negative impact on the prairie. Okay, that's what I've got so far. The prairie in the American West was impacted by many people. First, the American Indians had a positive impact on the prairie. They burned the grasses, which made the soil healthy. Then the settlers came and tore up all the native grasses to plant crops. This had a negative impact on the prairie. So now I'm at the finally stage. I need to go to my finally part. This is what I chose, that the government taught the farmers to plant crops in curves. So I'm going to go back to page 55 to my finally section. And I'm going to say, finally, the Roosevelt government taught farmers to plant crops in curved lines instead of straight lines. Okay. I need to say something about that, right? This soil from blowing away. Okay, so there's what I got so far. Now, I don't have enough room for me to write that it was a positive impact. So maybe when I edit my paragraph, I can go back and somehow I could say, finally, the Roosevelt government. I don't know. I'd have to figure out how to do that. I need to go back and edit it somehow. All right, so I have done all three of my pieces of evidence. I have used first, then, and finally. I have a topic statement. I've used topic specific words like grasses and soil and prairie and settlers and native and impact, farmers and crops. I use a lot of topics words in my paragraph. So now what I need to do is come up with a conclusion. And remember, a conclusion is just me re-saying what I said on the topic statement. And my topic statement was, the prairie in the American was impacted by many people. So I could just like rephrase that and reword it and say, many people had an impact on the prairie in the American West. feel like my paragraphs are getting longer and longer every time. Do you guys feel that way about yours? Okay, look, I took up the whole page this time. All right, so I said the prairie in the American West was impacted by many people. First, the American Indians had a positive impact on the prairie. They burned the grasses, which made the soil healthy. Then the settlers came and tore up all the native grasses to plant crops. This had a negative impact on the prairie. Finally, the Roosevelt government taught farmers to plant crops in curved lines instead of straight lines. This kept soil from blowing away. Many people had an impact on the prairie in the American West. So this is my response to that question up there on page 55. So you are going to write your own. Please do not copy mine. Okay, please make sure it's your own. I understand if you chose similar evidence to me that it's going to sound similar, but if you copy down exactly what I wrote, then I'm going to know that you just copied it from me and you didn't do it on your own. Okay, so I've modeled how to write that again. Let's go back to Miss Isabella so we can wrap up our lesson.
As you continue to read more books in this module, your knowledge will continue to grow around this big idea. What was life like in the West for early Americans? I can't wait to find out more as we dig into more books. You've been working very hard, growing your skills as a writer and as a reader. Your knowledge is also building day by day. I can't wait to explore more with you, and I will see you again very soon.
Okay, so that is the end of our video lesson. Remember that today you are going to do page 55 in your journal. You're going to answer the question, how did the actions of the American Indians, settlers, and President Roosevelt impact the prairie in the American West? Okay, you're going to finish this part. And then on page 56, you did what I know and what I can do. Remember, you're supposed to have 3 what you knows and 2 what you can do's. You're going to take a picture of both of those and you're going to upload it into a Google slide for me so that I can watch, so I can read, not watch, so I can read what you wrote. And you have another question set to do today. So let me show you where they are. All right, so if we go to the Google Classroom, we're going to go to classwork, okay? And it is Wit and Wisdom Week 4. Here is question set 2. And then is, that's yesterday's. I'm going to put up today's work, the Google slide where you are going to put in your pictures of your focus and question task response, page 55, and your what you know, what you can do chart on page 56. That's really all you have to do today. That's not a whole lot. So that's all I've got for you today. So go get busy working on that writing activity, okay? And I will see you guys later for phonics.